Well, welcome to the 700 Club. President Trump announced a series of bold economic and political initiatives in Saudi Arabia yesterday. The moves will have a major impact on the region, the U.S., and Israel.
Well, this morning, the president met with the new leader of Syria, a former al-Qaeda commander. He encouraged him to join the Abraham Accords. Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem.
This morning in Saudi Arabia, President Trump met with Syria's new leader just one day after announcing he's lifting sanctions on the country. The move came amidst a flurry of other activity Tuesday when the president signed a deal worth hundreds of billions of dollars with the Saudi kingdom, encouraged the crown prince to recognize Israel, and issued a new warning to Iran. The deals with Saudi Arabia amount to about $600 billion, including a $142 billion arms agreement. At the Saudi Investor Conference, President Trump said he hopes Saudi Arabia will join the Abraham Accords.
It's my fervent hope, wish, and even my dream that Saudi Arabia, a place I have such respect for, especially over the last fairly short period of time, what you've been able to do, but we'll soon be joining the Abraham Accords. But it will be a special day in the Middle East with the whole world watching when Saudi Arabia joins us, and you'll be greatly honoring me, and you'll be greatly honoring all of those people that have fought so hard for the Middle East, and I really think it's going to be something special, but you'll do it in your own time.
He also criticized the regime in Tehran and blamed it for much of the turmoil in the Middle East.
The biggest and most destructive of these forces is the regime in Iran, which has caused unthinkable suffering in Syria, Lebanon, Gaza, Iraq, Yemen, and beyond.
And he issued an ultimatum.
I want to make a deal with Iran. If I can make a deal with Iran, I'll be very happy if we're going to make your region and the world a safer place. But if Iran's leadership rejects this olive branch and continues to attack their neighbors, then we will have no choice but to inflict massive maximum pressure, drive Iranian oil exports to zero like I did before, and take all action required to stop the regime from ever having a nuclear weapon. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon.
Trump also announced the U.S. has taken steps to normalize relations with Syria and will lift sanctions at the urging of Saudi Crown Prince bin Salman and Turkish President Erdogan. In his meeting with Syrian President al-Shara today, Trump encouraged him to join the Abraham Accords and to tell all foreign terrorists to leave Syria. However, some question if al-Shara, a former al-Qaeda commander, can be trusted.
He don't change. His speak may be moderate, but particularly in facts, he is a radical Sunni man. I talked to people, this radical group, they said we will make our country Islamic Republic.
Cito says minorities in Syria are fearful of the new government.
We need protection. All these countries supported radical Islam, radical Sunni groups in Syria. We are in fear. They have to help us to protect us for radical Islam.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, I hope in our foreign policy we recognize the ideology that we're dealing with. That's both a political expression of religion, Hamas and Hezbollah. We have to look at them not as terror groups, they are political parties. They aim for governmental control. And you look at that ideology and you go, if that's the ideology of the new leadership of Syria, well, that's really bad news for the region. That's not something that is going to be in our interest. It certainly isn't going to be in Israel's interest. And it certainly isn't in the interest of peace in the Middle East. The roots of the new government of Syria go all the way back to ISIS. And if you recall what ISIS did in northern Iraq when they had control, political control of that entire region, well, they crucified Christians in the public square. They persecuted religious minorities horrifically. And if you were a non-Muslim woman, it meant you were now their sex slave. These are horrific things that they do. And I do hope and I trust that there's wisdom behind these moves and they really understand what they're dealing with.